Alright, I want to tell you about my story. If there is one thing I am so sure about and I can vouch my life for, it is the fact that I can write. God has given me this gift and I am grateful I discovered it early enough. There is no second that passed me without imagination. Give me 5 minutes and I will be building castle while I imagine. I can navigate my thoughts from one topic to another and can still get back to each story without missing a thing. In fact, I still remember events that happened when I was between 3 to 4 years. My mother died during that time, and I can still see clearly the pictures of that sad incident. When I called my father to know the year my mother passed away, that was when I realized I was just 4 years old. So, I knew I could write if I can pen or write these thoughts. That was one gift I discovered during high school. While in junior secondary school, also known as high school, I decided to test my writing ability while preparing for junior secondary school examination. I found past question and answers in English language on essay writing, where one is asked to write an essay about a topic, and the instruction was it should not be less than 450 words. It is important to note that coming from Nigeria, somewhere in West Africa, English was not my first language. I picked a topic and guess the word count results I arrived at when I finished that essay. That was around the year 2000 and 2001. I was writing under candlelight because we had no constant electricity then in my little hometown, let's say, Benue State in Nigeria. I wrote over 2,000 words while the target was 450 words. In fact, when I started writing, more ideas were pouring and I stopped because I ran out of candlelight. It was the early morning of the next day that I counted the words and I realized I wrote over 2,000 words. I was ready for essay writing so far as word count was concerned. I'll tell you another short story how I ignore the naysayers. I was addicted to watching movies. I can watch 1.5 hour movie in a sitting. I can even skip reading for exam to watching a new movie or interesting movie. My love for motion picture was something else. While watching those movies, especially the local ones, I started making comments that I can write a better story than some uninterested movies we watched then. This claim was highly argued by some of my peers who felt I was bragging or extroverting. I was among the best academically in school. I even reasoned the writing topic to one of our town viewing center that I hope to someday write for the movie industry. But he mocked me and asked which mega city I have gone to apart from our little town, let's see. He also asked me if I thought writing film was some high school essays. Alright, but guess what? I ignored him. I started following stories about movie making, reading local magazines that talked about celebrities and movie makers. At that time, my country movie industry, Nollywood, was booming. It even overtook Bollywood and came second next to Hollywood as one of the leading movie industry. I was inspired by the success the industry was making, how producers were making money in movie making, and since I was certain I could write better stories than some whack ones we watched then, I knew I could be part of the successful movie practitioners. After all, there wouldn't be a movie without a story or a writer. I was in senior section of my secondary school then. I bought some long notebooks, this long notebook, and I started writing any story idea that come to mind. This is the long notes I'm talking about. Right? I was writing my stories the way I investigated novels and short stories were written. I was not from an art department, but I love reading novels. You can even take a peek at some of the long notebook for those watching the video part of this story or course. I kept them because I knew those stories will be my access anytime I visit a movie-making mega city like Lagos, New York, or Los Angeles. There was a time I was writing a particular story without coming to an end. I had not thought about its ending. Then somehow, while writing it in the early hours of the morning, waves of unbelievable ideas sprang and I reached a peak and finally hit a full stop. Boom. All right. I read and reread that story. I have no idea how I came up with such an awesome conclusion. I knew it wasn't me. I knew someone gave me that inspiration, and it was not human being, but a spiritual being. It was God, the creator of the universe. I concluded that day that it was my calling to be a writer, and I was not going to let anyone discourage me in whatever guise. Now, the funny story. My father threatened to burn my notebook. I was so addicted to those notebooks, writing on my wooden desk, and would not do anything but write and write. We were to go to the farm as ordered by my father. When everybody was set to enter the car and go to the farm, I was still glued to my desk, pouring ideas in the notebook. And I forgot there was any other task or work to do. My father had started his wagons to leave with my stepmothers and other siblings. They were waiting for me, but I was, in another words, locked out of theirs. My angry father stepped out of the car and asked me what was that I was always writing or doing on the desk that I cannot go for his errand whenever I was called to. He said he was going to burn my notebook if I don't leave the desk immediately and join them in the car to go to the farm. I complied immediately, looking at how he was coming towards me. My father doesn't make fake threats. I couldn't allow anyone to touch my assets. My notebook. I kept this notebook for over 2 decades. Today, I pick one of these stories and develop them into a professional screenplay. In fact, my first locally produced story titled Life After That, which got local acceptance and is still being watched today, was one of the stories from that notebook. We took a loan from the bank to produce that movie. It was a story from the notebook that I developed after learning and mastering the act of writing professional screenplay. Now, let me tell you about my journey to movie making city. When I finished secondary school, also known as high school, I decided to pursue my dreams. I was going to leave my little hometown. After all, someone asked me which mega city I have gone to that I felt I can become a movie practitioner. I had some few relatives in Abuja, my country's capital. It was in Abuja that my dream received a drive. There was an advert aired on TV about training writers who thought they have stories to tell that can be turned into movies. I called the numbers for inquiries, only to be told that the training would be done in Lagos, the entertainment and movie making city, the Los Angeles of Nigeria. All right, it was that day of watching the adverts that it's dawned on me that even though one may have stories or ideas, there is a training requirement to master the professional way of presenting those ideas or stories in the way it will be acceptable by the film industry. And due to my passion for writing, I made a swift decision to go for the training. All right, I know what I went through going to a big city like New York without having money for accommodation or other expenses. I was trained by one of the veterans in the industry, a Colorado Film Institute trained coach, Ilie Otote. He is a writer, an actor, and a movie director. But where I stayed to undergo that training is an experience I cannot forget. We were living about 8 in a room. You could just imagine that. And since I had no money for hotel or other alternative accommodation, in fact, let me just leave that horrible story there. Now, today, wherever you are in the world, you need not travel to movie-making city like Lagos, Los Angeles, or New York. where you can incur more expenses and tuition fee for that knowledge. You can be trained in the comfort of your abode if you can have access to internet, a computer, or a mobile phone. Being a member of Screenwriters Guild, trained by professionals both home and abroad, I have packaged my experience in this course, and you can become that expert that Hollywood and other in the wood are looking for. Before I forget, the owner of our hometown viewing center watched with amazement my first locally produced movie, Life After Death, incredulously, and sold same at his retail outlets. I wonder if he still remember what he told me when I reasoned with him as an aider about joining movie makers. But for me, I cannot forget that. All right, now the moral of the story. Why am I telling this story? It's simple. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter your educational background. Just follow and master the steps taught in this course, and you will become a professional scenarist. For sure, I knew, I had, and I still have stories and ideas, but the swift decision to undergo the training requirements to be a professional screenplay writer changed my life for good. Your destiny is in your hands. If you are committed, this course will guide you through the journey of becoming the expert the film industry is looking for. You too can do it. Once again, I welcome you as we begin.